Welcome to Las Vegas, Nevada. This is Trunkhead with Trunkhead Gaming. Today I'm going to return to the in-depth series, and we're going to talk about orcs. I'm a little rusty, so stick with me. It's been a while since I've done an in-depth series. You want to check out my earlier ones. There was one on Dark Elves, Undead, and Humans, which are my three go-to races. But I wanted to go into some of the other races that I play a lot and are pretty popular. I played a ton of orcs. I think anybody who's played any amount of Blood Bowl has played a ton of orcs in their life. So I want to get into them. Let's do it right now. Orcs and death, man. So let's go over the overall concept of orcs before we get started. One of the misconceptions of orcs is they're a murder team. They're a kill team, and a lot of people play them as murder teams. But they are not a murder team. They are a control team. What's the difference, you ask me? Well, murder teams win in order for a murder team to win a game, for a kill team, they have to remove pieces. Orcs don't have to remove pieces. They can control the field just fine without removing pieces. If they finish the game 11 on 11, they're comfortable. They're comfortable in that situation because they can control the pitch better than almost any other team out there. You might see some battles with lizards. Lizards also are a really strong control team. And of course, the epic battle of orcs and dwarfs, the two control teams that go at it. And you see those control teams, those control matches, they're always super intense. But they are not a murder team, and the misconception that orcs are a murder team leads to some bad matchups later on, which we'll get into. They have high AV, high armor, which is what make their AV9, which makes them stick to the pitch a lot better. They don't take a lot of casualties, so you always float a lot of cash when you're orcs. You always have a ton in your bank, and you're always trying to figure out ways to spend it. You're buying stadium enhancements, you're buying shit you don't need. So you have to be careful about money because they stick to the pitch. They don't go away. They stick on, and for that reason they're kind of forgiving. And one of the better races to start out with to learn is orcs because they kind of stay to the pitch. There will be that odd game where you end up just losing everything, and you get so mad at Nuffle because your armor doesn't hold, and you're so used to it holding. Like you really get to lean on the AV9, which is something you have to be careful of. You have up to 9 strength access pieces, your 4 black orcs, your 4 blitzers, and your troll. And so you can get just a massive amount of guards. So strength is the one out of all the strength, agility, all those things, all the skill sets. People always covet the strength almost more than anything else. So having 9 pieces with strength access is just amazing. Hit like a truck, resilient like a wall. They do, even though they're not a murder team, they do hit very hard. Because they hit often. They hit often, they hit hard, and there's a lot of mighty blow because they have strength. And they're resilient like a wall. It's hard to remove them because they're AV9. They are really good at fouling. The Orc Lineman and the Orc Goblin are both great fouling pieces. So it's kind of an underutilized part of the Orcs kit, which you need later on as you get higher in TV. You really need to get strong. You'll see the best Orc coaches out there. They'll foul a lot. They'll get 1 or 2 dirty player line Orcs, and they will foul a lot. Kind of try and play that murder film. Kind of play like Undead at that point. Easy to rebuild. Their pieces are not terribly expensive, even for the high quality you get. So you lose one, it's easy to get them back up. It's not hard. And plus, you always carry so much in your bank. Even if you take 2 to 3 positional losses in a game, you can usually have enough money to replace those pieces right away. They are best they're best at low TV, about 1200 TV. They really start to shine. 1200 to about 15 to 1600. After that, you start hitting claw teams, and you have to be more careful about how you play. So when you're playing in that mid TV range, the mid to low TV range, you can kind of just be orcs and win games. But when you are starting to get higher, you have to have built your team correctly. So the best around the mid to low TV range, and they're winnable at higher TV range, as you can see. You just have to be careful. You have to be prepared for the claw teams. Get guard. One rule of thumb, as we start to get into building the team later on, rule of thumb is for every 100 TV above 1,000, you need 1 guard. That means that by the time you are 1,800, you will have 8 guard. That will be every blitzer and every black orc will have guard. And the reason for that, and we'll get into it more, is at the claw teams, you always have to have an eye on claw teams when you're orcs, because they're your biggest enemy. As they're building up their claw and their mighty blow and all that stuff, if you're getting guard, you can limit their hits. So you need to stay ahead in the guard race. It's imperative you stay ahead in the guard race. On offense, you are a heavy caging team. A very heavy caging team. You just kind of throw your YouTube cage up there and say, come get me. Usually behind as many black orcs as possible and behind as much guard as possible. If you have guard in your cage corners, if you have, like, this is a cage corner, this is a cage corner, and then over here, and then over here, you want opposite. If you only have 2 guard, you want them to be on opposite corners. And the reason you want that is so if somebody can't come in and cancel both assists on you, you're always going to have 1 guard piece on there. That means that when those war dancers come in and dive your cage, you're always going to have 1 guard piece. and make that a red die as opposed to a one die. Because you know War Dancers automatically roll POWs when they one die you. It's just Blood Bowl fact. If they're gonna one die you, they're gonna roll POW. So you have to make sure you have the guard in there so you're getting uphill dice. You want to range as many 2 dice on offense and limit as many blocks of 1 dice as possible on defense. So because you have so much guard and you have these high strength pieces, you can do a really great job of limiting your opponent's block dice, and that is really the most crucial skill in all of Orcs, other than positioning, is how to make sure that you are limiting your opponent to 1 die blocks or uphill blocks and getting 2 dice in return. And you have a lot of strength and you have a lot of guard. So it sounds like a daunting task, like holy fuck, I've been trying to do that my whole Blood Bowl career. It's easier with Orcs. And if you're trying to learn it, this is the best place to learn it. And you want to score as late as possible. Because you stick to the pitch so well, you want your opportunity. You're going to hit people. You're going to roll a lot of dice. You're going to throw a lot of blocks at people. Unless they're elves and trying to stay away from you. You're going to roll a lot of dice. So you want to stay onto the pitch as much as possible. You're not terribly fast, so you don't want to get into a high-scoring matchup with, say, elves or rats. You want to stay on the pitch and you want to hit people. You want to hit them hard. You want to make sure you have the advantage and you want to hit them. On defense, it's okay to mark opponents. Most players, you're pretty good at marking, especially with like line orcs. They're only 50,000 pieces in AV9. They are awesome pieces of work. But do not mark enemy opponent claw palm pieces. If they have a claw palmer, do not mark them because they are going to kill you. They will eventually kill you. You don't want anytime you're facing your opponent, like you don't want to spend a lot of time marking mummies, for instance, strength 5 mighty blow. That's going to get through your armor eventually. Now there are times you're going to do it. You're going to have to throw a line orc on a mummy and be like, I just need to tie this mummy up because this mummy can't get away from me. It's a 50,000 line orc versus a 110,000 mummy. You're getting great value there. So you're going to do it sometimes, but try not to mark their best hitters, and definitely do not mark claw unless that's absolutely critical to stopping and winning the game. You want to attack the cage as often as possible because you're so resilient and so strong and you have so much guard. If they cage up against you, you can kind of surround the cage, and you want to just you want to beat on that cage and try to misshape the cage so you can get later hits onto the ball carrier. You have to be careful against fast teams like Skaven or Elves, for instance, because if they heavy cage and you attack that cage too vigorously and you leave a spot, they'll just squirt right around behind you. So when you attack the cage, make sure you got 1 or 2 blitzers behind in position to catch those potatoes that get out. But you want to attack the cage. You want to attack it hard and fast. You want to stay in the scrum when you have the advantage. You have a lot of guard. You have a lot of strength. You have a lot of armor. You're going to win most scrums against most teams. So it's okay. Like if your opponent's humans and they're trying to get in next to you and they're trying to attack the ball, or you're trying to attack the ball, and they're staying in contact, you're okay with that. It's okay to get in there and throw the haymakers around because you were AV9 and they're not. Do not get trapped. Do not get trapped. Orcs are not terribly fast, so you have to be careful about getting trapped into a corner. So if the cage is over here and you send everybody and their brother over here to this cage, and they come out and they put a wall right here, and then all of a sudden they have all this space, the ball carrier gets out here with 1 or 2 guys guarding him, and your whole team's trapped over here. So you have to be careful of that with Orcs, and that's just something you learn through practice. So try not to get out of position and get trapped in, and try to stay centered to the ball. Most ball carriers are move 6. Your blitzers are move 6. So if the ball carrier is right here, you want your blitzer right here. So if he goes left, you go left. If he goes right, you go right. If he's faster than you, you might need 2 blitzers as safety. So if he goes left or right, you can respond fast enough. I'm gonna go into starting lineups. There are a lot of positionals, as you'll see. There's 6 spots in the Orc roster, which gives you a lot of variety. I'm going to talk about the safest. When I play Orcs, I like reliability, and this is my favorite. I start with 4 blitzers, 4 black orcs. These are essential. Any Orc roster who starts out, unless you're going to go troll 2 goblins, you want to start with 4 blitzers and 4 black orcs. There's really no other way to do it. And then really your option is, do you want to go? If you want to go troll, you have to like take out a black orc or take out a blitzer, and I don't suggest that. And then you get like goblins and stuff. But this is, and then the only other option here is to take, with this lineup, to take a lineman out and put a thrower in. If you've seen any of my in-depth videos, you know in general I do not like throwers. The human teams I like them, but I don't like the runner on the dark elf. I just don't like throwers in general, for a number of reasons. The reasons I don't start with a thrower on orcs is, again, it's just like everybody else. You desperately need touchdowns on your black orcs and your blitzers, and we'll touch on black orcs. This is how you win games, is getting touchdowns on these guys. So if you have an orc thrower, he's going to hog the majority of the SPP. He's going to score touchdowns, so you're just going to hang on to him and throw the ball. You need touchdowns on these blitzers. You need touchdowns on these black orcs. You don't need touchdowns on a thrower. I'm not a fan. There are orc coaches who play a lot of orcs who will swear up and down that starting with a thrower is the way to go. My number one reason is you need, especially starting out, you need SVP on these guys and not on your thrower. The other reason is the thrower is AV8. Um, where's he at? He is AV8. He is the only AV8 on your roster if you start with the thrower. And I don't like to start with it. I don't like to start with AV8, especially before I have my Apo. And this roster, you're only 20th. You're basically one game away from your Apo. I don't like to start with the thrower. The AV8 really is it's a hindrance when you're counting on your AV to get you by. When you're playing a heavy pound game, you don't want to have that AV8 as a handicap. And then finally, they only move 5. They're only move. That's not finally. They only move 5. They don't. They're not very fast. They're actually slower than your blitzers, so it slows down your offense. And then who do you throw to? Like if you have the ball and you're trying to throw the ball, these guys are just AG3, and the linemen are just AG3 and move 5. Like you're not throwing the ball to anybody reliably. So it's not like a human team where you have catchers where yeah I can get the ball, I can throw the ball to that catch and he can take off and score. There's nobody like that for us. There's nobody fast. There's nobody who can catch the ball reliably. If you end up with an AG4 blitzer, it's okay to go ahead and get a thrower there at that point, and then you have some kind of offensive options. But that is why I do not start with the thrower. I don't start with the troll. Absolutely do not start with the troll. A lot of people say they like the extra strength. It puts a strength 5 guy. You already have a ton of strength right here. You already have a ton of strength. You don't need the unreliability of the troll. But we will get into the troll. The really stupid. He's slow. I mean, he's slow as the black orcs, right? The really stupid really kind of slows down your reliability. And if you 1 in 9, which you're going to 1 in 9, you're gonna do it about 10% of the time. Uh, he can end your turn because he's not reliable. He's one of those pieces where it's kind of like a yogurt. You only throw with him. Um, Throw blocks with them if you absolutely need to. But the difference between the ogre and the troll is humans need the ogre to control the center of the pitch. Orcs do not need the troll to do that. They can do just fine without the ogre. Excuse me, without the troll. They do not need the troll. So for me, I like my orcs to be reliable and to do what I want them to do, and I want to be able to reroll when I want to reroll, especially early before I have block on these guys. So I do not start with the troll, and because I don't start with the troll, I don't start with the goblin. I used to love playing goblins. Goblins are amazing fouling pieces. They are really solid. Um, they're not again they're AV7. They're stunty. They don't move that fast. They only move 6. You really only get one to if you have a troll for one turning, or if you really want a dedicated fowler. But linemen are better fowlers, in my opinion, because they're always near the action. Um, I mean, technically the goblin is a better fowler, but they don't have access to dirty player, so they need a double for dirty player, where linemen can get them right away. So this is my lineup. I start 4 blitzers, 4 black orcs, 3 linemen, and I score with touchdowns with blitzers. My first purchase is a apothecary, which I'm only 20,000 away, so that's basically the first game. Get apothecary, and then I like to pick up 1 extra lineman. You only need 1 extra lineman as orcs, unless you're going to foul heavy. And when at low TV, you actually don't need to foul that heavy. It's when you get to higher TVs that your fouling game really starts to take off. So I get 1 apothecary, and then I get 1 lineman, and then I start floating a lot of cash. I start saving my cash for either stadium enhancements, which we'll talk about later, or replacements for these guys. You don't need a heavy bench as orcs because you don't get removed that often due to your AV9. So let's talk about overall. One thing I want to talk about before I get into specific position builds is I want to talk about doubles and dodge. There are 2 schools of thought. The most popular one is you get a double, you don't want to waste it, you take dodge. So you take dodge on all these guys, right? The other school of thought is I take no doubles at all. I don't need dodge. Orcs don't need dodge. They really don't. So and for orcs to be competitive at high TV, much like undead, or even much like any control team that doesn't have claw, you need to be TV efficient. So if you don't have dodge, you are more TV efficient. You don't need dodge. You have the strength accesses are the important skills. You literally don't need dodge unless you want to dedicate 1 guy as your ball carrier. If you have 1 guy as your ball carrier, give him dodge. The other benefit to having no dodge at all is that your opponent is going to take tackle at some point. Usually about 12 to 1300 you start seeing tackle pop up, and that ends up being a wasted skill against you because you have no dodge. I am a firm believer in the no dodge policy. I do not take dodge. Orcs don't need it. They don't need the extra TV bloat. It doesn't do you a lot of good. I mean, you'll see the amazing black orc that has block, dodge, guard, stand firm, the blodge firm guard. Black Orc, which is just, it's a sick piece. It's absolutely fucking sick. But how often do you see a 4-skill Black Orc? You just don't see them that often. Um, I'm not a fan of dodge. I prefer to skip all doubles. Um, I skip almost all doubles. If I do, I usually pick up diving tackle instead. Being TV efficient also makes your guys easier to replace, and it's going to give you a chance later on when you start facing those claw teams, which we will talk about heavy. Blitzers, you're going to start with 4 blitzers. I don't care what build you start with, you're going to start with 4 blitzers. These guys right here, with their general and strength access. Uh, these guys are actually really easy. But here's the biggest danger to orcs when you're building your team is to get all your TVs on all your SPP on blitzers, and you'll see a lot of really successful orc teams at below 1500 TV who have just like, everybody's got mighty blow piling on, everybody's got tackle, they all got mighty blow, they all got tackle, and then you have black orcs with like maybe one black orc has block, maybe. And those guys are just tearing it up at low TV, but as soon as they start hitting 1500 and they can't control the field anymore because these guys are on, they start to lose. They start to lose, and they lose often, and they get frustrated, and they like orc stuck, and they get away from them. So blitzers are your bread and butter, but you have to be careful not to overdo it with them. But the Holy Trinity, it's just like humans. The Holy Trinity is mighty blow, guard, and tackle in any order. Mighty blow, guard, tackle. My first blitzer, I always get mighty blow first and make that guy my hitter, and then everybody else I'll usually get guard afterwards. If you remember your rule of thumb when building orcs, 1 guard for every 100 TV above 1000. So if your first 4 skills are all blitzer skills, you're still only going to be 1080 TV. So you can actually get mighty blow on all those guys, and then the next skill, get guard, if you so wanted. Whoops, let's go back to them. So my first guy though is mighty blow, because that way he's always my blitzer, and he ends up leveling on his own. And then the rest of the guys I try to get guard, mighty blow, tackle, guard, mighty blow, tackle, the Holy Trinity, man. That's just that. If you built all 4 of your blitzers with guard, mighty blow, tackle, you win a lot of games. You'll win a ton of games just like that. Stats, you of course are going to take strength. There's a no-brainer to take strength. Agility, if you get agility, then you have to go down a different road. Agility is awesome on orc blitzers. It adds an element to them. If you get an agility blitzer, I would then pick up a thrower because then I have someone to reliably throw to. It gives them an element of offense that they don't have otherwise. So yeah, I take agility absolutely. Move, because your fastest guy is move 6. I think having one move 7 guy, as long as he's not, I don't know, if he's your hitter, maybe you don't want to spend that move 7, but maybe you do. I don't. I definitely like to have at least one move 7 guy if it comes up. It's nice to have a little bit of extra speed, but it's not necessary, man. And there's if you just, like I said, if you just went guard, mighty blow, tackle, you'd be good. So if you skipped movement, I would not argue with you. But it's not a bad skill. It's not bad to have. So that's the Holy Trinity. If you can build all 3 of your guys just like that, you'll be fine. I like to build my first guy as a hitter. The traditional hitter you see, mighty blow, tackle, piling on, pro. I get tackle before piling on because you need tackle. Piling on is just kind of luxury, and then pro. Um, for doubles, I mean that's pretty standard. So mighty blow, tackle, piling on, pro. That's what you go for a pure hitting guy. For doubles, the only double you want on a hitter is jump up, because jump up is awesome on a piling on piece. Stats, the only stat you really need is skip agility on your hitter, because it's not really going to do a lot of good. It'll let you make some more dodges, but it makes him bloaty. He doesn't need to be bloaty. I would skip the movement. Only one I would take is strength. I don't like strength on my piling on guys, but because you're armor value 9, it's not too terrible. Plus, I mean, just strength is so good, you have to take that. And another option you can build if you're building your blitzers, you have one Holy Trinity, you have one hitter, you can have a frenzy piece. Frenzy piece for orcs are awesome. They let you control. It's just another way to control the pitch, which is something you're already very, very good at. So I would go. You start the block here. I'd be frenzy very next. Then I would get stand firm, so that if I ended up next to the sideline, which often happens to frenzy pieces, because trying to serve people, that they can't move you. So frenzy, stand firm, and then mighty blow. Because mighty blow will make him just as nasty as your hitter, with the added utility to push people around. In fact, if you wanted to skip your hitter and go with a frenzy guy first, I wouldn't argue with you. It's pretty awesome. Because a frenzy mighty blow piece is really nasty. Frenzy mighty blow, and then tackle. Skip all doubles. You don't need any doubles on your frenzy piece. It just makes him bloaty. I'd absolutely take the plus move, and I would absolutely like plus move frenzy piece is awesome, and then I would take the plus strength. Those are both very good. And then the final build, so you got one Holy Trinity, You got one hitter. You got one frenzy. The very last guy, if you're going to build a ball carrying blitzer, which I don't suggest, but if you do, if you make him your very last one, because you want the other guys to get their critical skills first, your very last guy who levels, make him a ball carrier, and he's going to get sure hands. He's going to get guard. Guard on your carrier is really, really good. It's amazing. It lets you make a lot of when you're being based. It lets you two die a lot of pieces you don't otherwise get to two die. So it gives you an assist. Ball carrier with guard is super solid. It's unbelievable. It's way underrated too. And if you're not picking up doubles, you get guard. It's just so good. So good in a ball carrier. Sure hands, guard, fend, kickoff return, kick, anything like that. If you wanted to if you go on the no dodge route, no doubles on dodge, and you got a double on your ball carrier, and you would have one dodge on your whole team, put it on your ball carrier. I don't like it, but go ahead and do it. Stats, take all stats. For a ball carrier, agility is awesome, strength is awesome, move is awesome. They're all good. So those are the four. That's the four blitzer builds that I do. Like I said, if you went all four Holy Trinity, you'd be fine. If you wanted to do just one hitter and one Holy Trinity, or three Holy Trinities, you'd be fine. The ball carrier, I don't like the pure ball carrier build, but if you're not going with a thrower, some people like to have that security, the sure hand security, which I don't disagree with. Like having sure hands against, for instance, Wood Elves is amazing. Um, and it's not bad. It's not. If the other guys are developed enough, get the ball carrier. Yeah, the other option, by the time you get far enough this deep, you could probably pick up a thrower and only play him on offense, and then we'll get into thrower builds a little bit later. So I don't like having one of my hitting guys, my guys that are going to touch people, dedicated to ball carrying, but they are going to carry the ball a lot. So let's go on to the Black Orc. Black Orcs win games. This is your most important piece right here. This guy right here. This is far and away the most important piece on the pitch. And you'll see, we talked about earlier, winning Orc teams at below 1,500, if they're focused on just their blitzers, they do great, but once they hit the $1,500 wall and start hitting claw teams, they start to lose. It is imperative, I cannot stress it enough, imperative that you give these guys touchdowns and get them block. Block is the first skill. The only exception to block being the first skill is if you roll plus strength, then you take the plus strength because of strength 5 Black Orc is so nasty. Do not take doubles on. Don't take dodge on the doubles. As with any strength 4 no skill thing, Chaos Warriors, Nurgle Warriors, Flesh Golems, all those guys, you always take block first. Skip everything else. The only thing you take other than block is plus strength. Get these guys touchdowns. They're agility 2, which sucks, and they're slow, which sucks. But if you're playing Orcs correctly, there are a ton of opportunities for you to get Black Orcs down the pitch and score touchdowns. Handoff is 50-50. It's a 4+ handoff to them. With a team reroll, you're 75% to hand the ball off. If you have solid control of the pitch, and say, I know I'm going to hand it to this guy, and if he fumbles it, I still have control of the ball because it's going to scatter somewhere around my guy, or he can't get to the ball, the opponent can't get the ball, do it. Get this guy touchdowns. You absolutely need touchdowns in your Black Orcs. Winning Orc teams have developed Black Orcs. That's the bottom line. If you want to win games late as Orcs, you have to develop your Black Orcs. And they're easy to develop, man. They're easy. Their build paths are super easy. If you went block and guard on every single one of them, you're winning games. You're going to win a lot of games. If you went block guard and the very last guy, you went block guard Mighty Blow or block Mighty Blow first to catch him up in TV, he will strength 4 Mighty Blow is nasty. So your first 3 Black Orcs went block guard, block guard, block guard, and the last guy, man, he's developing really slow because the other guys are getting their skills and he's not. Give him block Mighty Blow, he will catch up. He will catch up sooner or later, block guard, so he go block Mighty Blow guard. And that's it. That is all you need. If you're a dodge team, you want to take dodge after you've gotten block, and you can sneak in dodge if you wanted. Black Orcs are pretty cool. Super expensive. You don't need them. It's only 80,000 piece. I don't understand why you'd want to put dodge on them. Some people really do. TV efficiency, again, for higher TV, when you get to higher TV, is so important. I don't like to bloat these guys with dodge, even though it's really strong. That's up to you. Another double that you can consider is really, really good on Black Orcs is Diving Tackle, believe it or not. Diving Tackle is really strong on Black Orcs because people try to get away from them. You have an elf, you're on line of scrimmage, you have your guys up there. For instance, like if you're playing elves, and you're on defense, right, and you lined up all 4 Black Orcs, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you put it on a line of scrimmage, that elf isn't going to hit your black orcs. I mean, he's not going to. He's got to invest so many pieces that he's going to basically invest his whole entire team to hit your black orcs. He's going to try to dodge away from you. He's just going to abandon the line of scrimmage and dodge away from you. So you give one diving tackle, all of a sudden that guy can't dive away from you. So that's the only double I would take. After block guard, mighty blow, stand firm and grab are both options. I would probably start with stand firm for the first two, for instance, because that helps you defend against one-turners. If they can't move your line of scrimmage, they can't one-turn unless they're rats. So I would probably start with stand firm. I'd go two stand firm and then two grabs. Grab is really cool, especially as your black orcs are getting to the point where they're getting 4 skills. You're starting to get higher in TV. And then grab lets you position guys for fouls. Just it's cool. You're like, oh, this guy's in front of me. Let me grab him behind, push him behind the line. Now he's right next to my foulers. Boom, I foul that guy. He's off the pitch. Really, really solid. Grab is so good, and it's super underrated. When you are on offense, let me go back to offense and talk about black orcs a little bit. When you are on offense, treat them similar to mummies. If you watch the undead in-depth video, I talked about you're going to stay behind your 2 mummies. They're going to control the pitch. When you're an orc team, you want to stay behind your black orcs. If I'm playing versus orcs and they have all their black orcs to the left and they have the ball potato to the right with like 1 or 2 blitzers, I know they're going back to the left. They're absolutely going back to the left because if they leave this guy out here away from their black orcs, he's not protected. These are the guys that protect the ball. So you're going to stay behind your black orcs. It's easier with black orcs than it is with mummies because you have 4 of them as opposed to 2. So you have a little bit more versatility. But keep your guys behind your black orcs. This is your great green wall. Keep them there until you beat your way through the pitch, and then you can kind of start moving down the field. Stay behind these guys. They're fucking awesome. These pieces are so solid. AV9, strength 4. Bam. Best piece on the pitch. Let's talk about before we get into the line, we'll talk about the thrower real fast, which I've talked about. I do not get started with. Mostly because of the AV8 and because he steals pitches, and he's got this pass skill, but he's got nobody to throw to. But they do start with sure hands, which is really good. There's basically 2 ways to build the thrower. The standard way to build the thrower is just the normal get block first so that he's reliable. Kickoff return is really, really good on this piece. It's better than most other pieces because he's only a move 5 thrower. A lot of people call these the orc walkers because they're so slow. So I get block, and then I would get kickoff return because it lets him get to that ball faster, and your team is not terribly fast, so it gives him a head start on getting to the ball and moving that ball up pitch. Fend is really good in these guys. You don't want people staying in contact with them. Kick is also it's a good place to put your kick skill is on orcs. Orcs don't really need kick, but it's good. It's good to have kick. As an orc team, you generally want to kick close to the line of scrimmage if you pick up the kick skill, so that you can get your black orcs onto that ball and start beating them up. If you are facing a claw team, you want to kick away from their claw. You want to, so what I'll do is if I'm playing a heavy claw team, I'll put all my guys to the left, my line of scrimmage over here, and I'll kick the ball over here short. Because that means he's gonna put his best hitters on this line of scrimmage for their guaranteed hits, and if the ball is over here, he's got to move most of the rest of his team over here to protect the ball, which gives you an advantage. So kick is really solid on orcs, but it's really hard to find a spot to put it. You put it on line orc or you put it on your thrower if your thrower is developed enough. If you get lucky enough to get a double on this guy, strong arm is really good. If you get strong arm and then you can go accurate, you turn him into a throw at that point, right? I got doubles. Boom, I got doubles. I get strong arm. My next skill is accurate. Now I have a strong arm accurate throw. I have a really solid thrower. If I then get a double on a blitzer, I'll get him the catch skill, which is a weird double to take. But if you have a thrower who can throw the ball, you need a guy who can catch the ball. So I'll do that. The other skill is if I get AG4 on these guys, I'll then also go accurate and go down the throwing route. Strong arm, accurate, kickoff return is still good. Block later on. I mean, at that point you build him into a thrower, and then you have to take one of your blitzers and build them into a catcher. Somebody who can catch. For your normals, if you get doubles and you don't want dodge on your normal guy, your normal block, kickoff, return guy, you can go dodge. Of course, I would go guard personally, but you can do dodge. Let's talk about arguably the best lineman in the game, the line orc. The line orc is 50,000 pieces, and he is. Let's go back to our lineup. He is 50,000 pieces, and he is AV9. So basically he costs the same as a human lineman, but with 9 armor. And he's 1 slower, but who cares about that? You could argue that an undead coach or a necro coach will argue that a zombie is better than a line orc because they have regeneration, but they are also only AV8s. And they're slow. I mean, they both are slow. Other than that, these AV9s guys, these guys can do everything. They're cheap. They're easy to replace. They can market beast. Oh, that mummy's coming after me. Let me just stop that mummy. He's AG1. He's not dodging away from my guy. Let me mark him. Oh, I'm facing. Let's say I'm facing Saurus. I'm facing Lizardman. I can take a lineman, a line orc, and I can just stick him to a Saurus. That Saurus isn't getting away. That Saurus is AG1. He's not dodging away from you. So yeah, you're gonna get hit because you're he's strength 4 and you're strength 3. You're gonna take 2 dies, but you're just gonna get back up and get back on that guy, and you can just do it all day. That you're taking away his pitch control. So these guys are awesome pieces for marking. They're just so good at it. Um, they're also really great foulers, man. You get this guy, dirty player. They're only 50,000. They're just like a human lineman fouling piece or a Norris lineman fouling piece. Oh man, my black work took grab the guy and put him behind the line. Boom, I'm gonna step on that guy. He's high value. I'm gonna dirty player him. As you get later higher in TV, the dirty player foul game becomes crucial. And we're gonna at the very end of the video talk about going against chaos and high TV teams. The foul game becomes crucial. So these guys become even more important than they already are. They are essential to winning the games. You can get kicked if you want to get one of these guys kick. If you're not running a thrower, get kicked on one of these guys. Everybody else should be dirty player. That's what I would do. You can go block fend for more reliability. Usually your line, so if you want guys to take the line of scrimmage hits, which of course you do at some point. Block and fend are both good. I don't get wrestle on orcs, mostly because they're move 5. So when they get up, if you wrestle a guy down, you can only move 2. So because they're so slow, I usually don't get wrestle on orcs. I keep them on their feet. Doubles, if you can get guard on these guys, do it. If you're okay with a TV bloat, because you have guard so many other places with natural access, you don't need guard on these guys. You can get it if you want. I wouldn't argue if you got guard and then block and then you have an extra guard block piece. It's not like humans where like, man, that's gold. It's not as essential because you have 8 pieces or 9 pieces if you have the troll that have guard access. So I would usually skip doubles on these guys. I would skip all stat ups. You don't want to bloat these guys for unnecessarily. If you got plus strength and you wanted to build him into an extra blitzer, so plus strength and then block, I'd be okay with that. Um, you just have to be willing to pay for the bloat. I mean, the strength skill up is more than the player value. so, so there you go. Just be careful about bloating these guys. The part of their appeal is that they're cheap and they do their job without being expensive. So they're really good. Trolls. Let's talk about the troll. The mighty troll. Trolls are fun. I will give you that. Trolls are fun. They're cool looking. The really stupid is one of the worst nega traits because you have to keep somebody near him all the time, which isn't really that hard as orcs, but it does come up from time to time. Because in orcs are usually staying close together, so they usually have somebody near this guy, but it does come up. Throw teammate, you can throw goblins. This is basically your one-turn threat. If you want to have a one-turn threat, you have a troll, you get a goblin, you can throw him. It is extraordinarily unreliable. I don't know what the numbers are on it offhand, but it's probably like 1 in 10 that it works, 10% chance that it works, somewhere around there. It's very, very low. Plus, he has a chance to eat him. So if it wasn't hard enough to throw him already with your agility 1, then you have to pass his chance to eat him. Like, it's really low possibility. If you feel like you want to troll, and you feel like you need the extra strength, I highly, highly suggest you do not get a troll. People say I need the troll for the chaos matchup. It's absolutely falsehood. You need the troll for the chaos matchup. He's actually more of a liability in the chaos matchup because he's really fucking expensive and he goes down pretty easy. He's still AV9. He goes down to claw just like everybody else does. We've all seen trees get felled by claw mighty blow. Trolls go easier. This is a waste of TV versus chaos, but there are coaches out there that will tell you he's essential to the skill, to the matchup. So the build, I mean, he's like any other strength skill. You go guard first, absolutely. On normal rolls, you go guard first, and then you go, I don't know, stand firm. I would probably go stand firm next, so you can't push him away from people. Stand firm is more important than grab in this particular instance because he's got really stupid. He needs to stay near his pieces, so you don't want people to position him around. So I go guard, stand firm, and then probably grab. Or break tackle isn't as enticing because he's only move 4, and you have other people to do that, so you're not really going to blitz with him that often. It's not like humans where sometimes you're like, I need a high strength piece to blitz with. You don't need that with orcs because you have black orcs. So, I mean, he's not really that great a piece. If you want to make him into a one-turner and you got a double, instead of going block, you would go pro. Pro, of course, helps with the really stupid, but it also helps with throwing the teammate. which is really hard to use rerolls on because he's a loner. So if you had a troll and you wanted to build him into a one-turning guy, you would get pro. You're at that point you're only doing it for fun. The piece is not. He's not competitive in a lot of environments. If you win troll and you're trying to have fun with him, you get pro to throw the guy. Otherwise, you go block first, of course. Block and then pro. And that is the troll. I don't have a lot of great things to say about them. They have cool animations. They're fun. They usually have cool names like Flap Puke or Flap Stench or something like that. Yeah, I mean they're cool looking. They're fun, but they're not going to win you games. And then finally we have the Goblin. The Goblin. You almost are always only going to get Goblins if you have the Troll so that you can one turn. That is basically the role of the Goblin on a Orc team, is give me a last-ditch one-turn threat. The other thing you can use, I would advise against that. If you have a troll, they'll get one. If you have a troll and you're using him as a one-turn threat, you're going to go sprint, sure feet, sidestep, because you're trying to make him a one-turn, so you want him to reach that. You want to give him extended range because he's only moved 6. So sprint and then sure steep and sure feet and then sidestep. If you get doubles for a one-turning goblin, you instead of going block, you would go pro for the same reasons for the troll. You want to reroll that landing. You want to stick that landing. You want to get the catch. Catch is also really good on these guys because you're going to hand off to them. If you want to fit that in there. If you don't have a troll, stats. The only stat you would get on this guy is agility. On the one-turning goblin, you get the agility to make the landing, and the catch is better. Then you get the move. Of course, you get the less move. But you don't. At that point, your goblin's getting super expensive. He won't live that long. If you get lucky to get the first skill, maybe he stays a little longer. They don't. They have stunty, which makes it a +1 to their injury roll. They have armor 7. They don't last very long. If you don't have a troll and you're running a goblin, at that point you're basically making him into a fowler. Your first skill will probably be sidestep and diving tackle. Diving tackles are really good on these guys because they can mark pieces. Sidestep, diving tackle means they kind of move around, can't move them off. So they're an okay marking piece, except for they get killed really easy. You would get block or wrestle if you want wrestle first. Like say you got an AG4, then your next skill up was a double. I would go AG4. I'd go wrestle, and then make him. He can dive cages at that point. He's a 2+ cage dive into red die. That's pretty cool, man. That is pretty cool. Stats, you would take all the stats. If you're carrying this guy without a troll, you're planning to use him as part of your team, so it's okay to bloat him up. You actually need to bloat him up to make him useful, so take all stats. The other option on doubles is to get Dirty Player. If your very first skill up is a double, it's okay, man. Get Dirty Player, and then if he skills again, get Sneaky Get. I never advocate Sneaky Get, but basically a Goblin's only role on the pitch is to either mark pieces and get killed with a diving tackle, or to foul people. So get doubles, get Dirty Player. Dirty Player Goblins are pretty cool. They're only 40,000. With the double, of course, they're going to be 70,000. But they're cool fouling pieces, man. And they can get places because of the stunty and the dodge. They can get to strange places to get that foul. And the foul animation is pretty cool. I enjoy it. That is Orcs. That's every position. We'll talk about stadium enhancements real fast, and then we're going to talk about chaos. So stadium enhancements, there are a lot of options for Orcs. Stadium enhancements. I mean, there's just... We can kind of go through them. I guess I can't go through them. They it's hard to go wrong with stadium enhancements for Orcs. So you have the Astro Granite is actually a lot more solid than you think it is. Because you're not very fast. You're going to use most of your rerolls, especially once you get block on all your Black Orcs. You're going to use most of your rerolls on GFIs and greed rerolls. So the Astro Granite slows other teams down. You have AV9, so if you fail your GFI, you still count as AV8. But if you're playing, like, for instance, Wood Elves and they fail their GFI, well, they count as AV6. So Astro Granite, I like Astro Granite a lot. A lot of people really like Magic Dome for Orcs, and I don't disagree. It's an okay skill. It's an okay enhancement. That cancels all weather effects because you're AG3 without sure hands, especially at this build. Weather Dome is pretty solid. The Blizzard I don't care so much about because I'm not throwing the ball anyway, and I don't do a lot of GFIs. Some Orc coaches do a ton of GFIs. I try not to. But if you do a lot of GFIs, and again, the Weather Dome for Blizzards is really solid. So that's good. The security gate is good. That prevents the riots and all the stun players on the pitch. The Squig Kiosk Sandwich, which is usually my go-to for most teams with lots of positionals, isn't as important for Orcs. Most of the time, that rock's going to end up in a stun. And because you have redundancy in your positionals, like if I lose one Black Orc, I still got 3 more. If I lose one Blitzer, I still got 3 more. So the rock isn't as detrimental to me as it is to like a human team or a Dark Elf team, for instance. So I don't usually get the squid chaos sandwich. If you have 2 frenzy pieces for your blitzers, you can get the beer stand that adds +1 to the injury roll for surfing. I wouldn't suggest that. That's better for like Norris, but you could do it. Nuffle's Altar. There are some great star players for Orcs. If you want the Nuffle's Altar, remember your opponents can get that too. I would not get the Wizard one. Wizards are Wizards hurt Orcs pretty good, and it's hard for Orcs to take advantage of Wizards, so I would not get the free Wizard. But you have options as far as your fate enhancements go. And the last thing I want to talk about is Orcs versus Chaos and Orcs versus Claw teams in general. So people get frustrated with Orcs probably about 15 to 1600 TVs when they're crushing their opponents, they're killing everybody, they got tons of blitzer levels, and then they get to 15 1600 TV and they face a Chaos team that's got 1 or 2 Claw Palmers, or they face a Necro team that's got 1 or 2 fucking Claw Mighty Blow Wolves, and they just get shredded because the thing you've been counting on your entire time is your blitzers killing people and your armor saving you from everything, and all of a sudden these claw guys are going through and being like, yeah, I don't care about your armor. I'm basically have one skill that costs me 20k that makes all your armor AV7. And it's brutal. It is really, really hard for orcs to deal with. And it is basically what makes people stop playing orcs, to be honest. It is possible to beat claw teams as orcs. It is absolutely possible to beat claw teams as orcs. The way to do it, as we talked about, you want a lot of guard. So by the time you hit 1800, every one of these guys should have guard. And if you got double here, maybe you got guard on your lineman too. You want guard everywhere. And the reason you want guard is you're trying to limit the hits your opponent can get you, the 2-dies. We all know that Chaos Claw Palmers are going to 2-die you because, excuse me, their Nugget Warriors are strength 4. And all their goats and pestigores, they all have horns, so they're gonna blitz you at strength 4. So if you have 2 guys next to each other with guard, that's a 1-die as opposed to a 2-die, and that can make a huge difference. And the thing about Chaos and other claw teams is as they are getting claw, you should be getting guard. It keeps you ahead. You want to absolutely need to stay ahead of the guard game as orcs. You want to limit his hits to 1-dies when possible. You want to stay next to each other, and you want to have the numbers game. So, and like I said, the way I used to like to do it is I build everybody to the left, I put my line of scrimmage to the right, so all of his hitters are over there, I kick the ball over here, and then anybody who leaves over here to hit me, I now have my entire team over here. I have the numbers advantage. I'm going to hit those guys, I'm going to knock them down, and I am going to foul the ever-living shit out of them. If you Once you break 15, 1600, orcs become a heavy fouling team. They become very similar to undead, that they win games by fouling. You knock people down with your black orcs, you control the pitch, and when you knock them down, you foul them and get them off the pitch. The way to beat claw teams and chaos teams is reduce their numbers. They are a murder team. Murder teams win by having more numbers than you do. They're not very fast, they're not agile. The only thing they have going for them is that they reduce your numbers and they beat you by walking over your corpses. If you beat them at that game, they're going to lose. If you're playing even numbers, I told you earlier that orcs play great at even numbers. You're playing even numbers against a claw murder team, you're going to win. And to do that, you need to remove their pieces as much as they remove yours. Now, they have the hitting advantage, but you have a fouling advantage. Chaos are not a great fouling team. Necro are a great fouling team, and that's a whole different thing. But the problem with Necro is their Claw Mighty Blow is on Frenzy. So if you keep your pieces next to each other and you have a ton of guard, he can't really attack you with his Wolf because it'll Frenzy trap himself, and he'll be in the middle of all your guys, and you'll foul him. And if he does, it's a mistake, and maybe you'll lose a piece, but then you'll remove his Wolf, and you get the best of that exchange. You foul him a lot. You make sure you have the numbers advantage. You make sure you stay close together. Try and split his team in half and use your whole team to attack half of his team. You can beat claw teams. It is not easy. It's not easy. But if you built your team correctly and you have block and guard on all your black orcs, and you have a couple, maybe 1 or 2 mighty blow spring there, you don't have all your TV built on these guys. If you built your team correctly and you got plenty of guard and your black orcs have block and you got a 30 player lineman or 2, you can beat claw teams. It is absolutely possible to beat claw teams. Orcs are really good. At that point, your biggest struggle is going to be against other control teams, and then again, if you didn't build your team correctly, you're going to struggle against other control teams. You need block. You need block on these. You need your black orcs developed. When I'm playing, I play a lot of elves, of course. I play a lot of dark elves or humans. If I see a orc team and they don't have maybe 1 or 2 skills in the black orcs, I know I'm going to win that game because these guys they're nasty. They're murdering people. They got mighty blow, piling on, frenzy, all that shit. And then there's no TV here. All I got to do is take care of these 4 guys and I win the game. Like, these guys are the ones that win the game. So if you build these guys correctly, and you focus your team correctly at low TV, and you build them up in the correct manner, you can beat claw teams. I'm not going to say you're going to win every single one of them, because there's games where claws will just remove you every time they look at you, and claw is it's a crutch. It's a crutch, and it's absolutely the worst thing for orcs. But you will have a chance, and you'll probably win more than you lose if you build your team correctly and you foul them right, and you have a good strategy to avoid hits. Do not mark claw. Do not mark claw unless the game is on the line. That is Orcs in depth. That is how I build my orcs. There are a million orc coaches out there. Everybody who's played Blood Bowl, like I said, they have played orcs, and there's a million opinions on them. That is essentially how I build my orcs, and it's successful, man. I win a lot of games that way, and competitive at higher TV, which is which is like I said, people get frustrated with orcs right around 1500 TV because they start running into claw teams. The claw teams start to get a killer or two, and then orcs start to fall off. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to keep you abreast of the idea that when you're orcs, you're going to cruise through the lower TVs. Once you get to higher TV, you need to make sure you build your team correctly and you can be competitive, man. Thank you guys so much for watching. I am considering doing a couple more in-depths. I could probably do a dwarf one. I played a ton of dwarfs back in the day. Dwarfs I find extraordinarily boring, so it might take me some motivation to do a dwarf in-depth. I could do a rat one. I'm not like the best rat coach, but I've made playoffs in a number of leagues with rats. I'm not like Loomy level rat, for instance. But I'm a pretty good rat coach, man. I've won a lot of games as rats. Like I said, I've made playoffs in a couple of leagues as rats, so it's possible. And I'm thinking of doing an Urgo one. So if there's any other races besides those you're thinking of, let me know. Those are my favorites. That's where I'm going to go. Thank you guys so much for watching. See ya!